5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
This is About Space, America's return to space, with news and information on our U.S. space program. Is your host of About Space, David Denal.
Welcome, and thanks for joining me. Well, today we pause our series of reports on Return to the Moon to Stay to focus our attention to the first American astronauts to be launched on American rockets from American soil in almost a decade ago. NASA and SpaceX have a target launch date of Wednesday, May 27th, just 7 days from now. So stay tuned as we announce when we'll begin daily reports from the Kennedy Space Center. And now, get ready to meet SpaceX Dragon crew next on About Space today. Are you ready to fly away on a dream vacation? For cruises and all-inclusive resort vacations, call D&D Cruise and Tours at 877-747-8631. That's 877-747-8631. And see us on Facebook, D&D Cruise and Tours, where your dreams become a reality.
In Jamaica, we live by the don't worry philosophy. And Only Sandals gives you more of Jamaica because everything's included at 6 spectacular resorts. So you can stay at one and play at all of them. Play more, man. Dine at more restaurants, no problem. And celebrate more. All included, all unlimited. Sandals Resorts. More of Jamaica's best from the world's best.
In 1916, President Woodrow Wilson established the National Park Service to protect the nation's 35 existing parks and monuments. Now, the National Park System comprises more than 400 different sites covering 84 million acres across the U.S. Everything from the beauty of the Badlands in South Dakota to smaller sites that offer close-to-home recreational opportunities. The NPS invites you to find your park.
Welcome back. And if you've been listening to our podcast, you've learned about the new spacesuits or flight suits and about the Dragon spacecraft. Now, just days away, 2 men will be launched on the initial manned test flight of SpaceX Dragon. And let me introduce you to the commercial crew selected by NASA, both of whom were graduates of the astronaut class of 2000. Robert Louis Bob Bacon, United States Air Force officer, a NASA astronaut and former chief of the astronaut office. Bacon holds a Ph.D. in mechanical engineering and holds the rank of colonel in the United States Air Force. He flew aboard 2 space shuttle missions on Endeavour in 2008 and 2010 as a mission specialist, accumulating over 708 hours in space, including 37 hours of spacewalk time. And he is married to fellow astronaut K. Megan Arthur. Astronaut Bob Bacon.
A couple of reasons that people kind of put out there. I view exploration as a challenge, and so trying to continue to feed that challenge means doing new and exciting things, whether it's climbing Kilimanjaro, it's something you haven't done before, whether it's any manner of kind of expedition that you may go on. If it's a new experience for you, it's exploring. As astronauts, and we kind of face a different role where we're exploring for everybody else, because we're not in a situation, at least right now, hopefully we will be someday, where everybody can participate as fully in that exploration dream. And after finishing high school, I attended Washington University in St. Louis, where I studied both mechanical engineering and physics. I had an ROTC scholarship from the Air Force. After completing at Washington University, it was a kind of a drawdown period in the military, and so they didn't need me to come on active duty right away in the Air Force. As soon as I got in the Air Force, I was definitely going to apply, because I followed that dream right after coming on active duty and started applying, and with the rest of my test pilot school classmates, we all applied to be astronauts the next time around, and luckily enough, I was selected. We repeatedly have opportunity to kind of participate in the development and design of the new vehicles, and this was true even when we were still flying the space shuttle. Every mission had aspects that still had some flexibility from a crew perspective, and we would make inputs and make changes. And both of my missions, as you pointed out, were on Endeavour. So that's the ship that I did take into space. But as a Cape Crusader, one of those guys who worked in Florida, I was in all of the space shuttles, Columbia, all the operational ones after that. So I was exposed to all of them, and they absolutely were different. The workforce down at KSC really had an appreciation for every vehicle was unique, every vehicle was special, and we got kind of that special experience as Cape Crusaders.
His fellow astronaut is Douglas Gerald Hurley, an American engineer and a NASA astronaut. He has piloted 2 space shuttle missions, STS-127 in 2009, and he was assigned to the final flight of the Space Shuttle program in July 2011. He was also the first Marine to fly the F-18EF Super Hornet. Astronaut Doug Hurley.
It's almost disappointing when you hear people say, well, why do we do this? And it's like, well, why wouldn't we do it? High school, I went to Owego Free Academy in upstate New York. And then college was Tulane University in New Orleans. When I was 17, when I left home, about 1,200 miles away to go to Tulane, they had a really good engineering school, which was part of the decision. And then the other part was I received a Naval ROTC scholarship. And I think, to be in engineering in college, even as an undergraduate, I think most people who went through it realize that you have to enjoy it because it's a lot of work. It also kind of opened up those doors follow on. It allowed me to go to test pilot school. It allowed me to meet the requirements to apply to be an astronaut. I played every sport possible. Was a team captain on a number of sports teams. I remember my first space flight on Endeavour, but with 135, it was a little bit different. It was one of the highlights of my professional career being part of that mission. Unique in a way. There was only 4 of us on the crew. It was the last flight of the program, and then just the opportunity to just thank the people that had been involved in many cases since the beginning of the shuttle program. In a way, it was very bittersweet because, it was the majority of American human spaceflight was on the space shuttle, and it changes you in a way that's a little bit hard to describe, a little bit of intrinsic change. It's a little bit of your personal philosophy on life, I think, changes to some degree. And I don't see how it can't. You're riding a controlled explosion to space. You're flying around the Earth at 17,500 miles an hour and looking back at your planet, which is this teeny little blue dot. I don't think you're human if it doesn't change how you feel about yourself, about life, about the universe. We've gone the better part of 5 years plus without a domestic capability. It is tough. It's tough on us, and it's great that we have the opportunity to fly with the Russians, and they fly a very good vehicle in the Soyuz, and so we've been able to maintain our presence in space. But to be part of this, where we're returning this capability to the United States, flying rockets out of Florida with people on them, is very exciting. And I think frankly, the United States should have this capability. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Astronaut Doug Hurley. See their entire story during our live coverage May 27th for a 4:32 afternoon launch. And don't miss being part of history. For details, see our Facebook page, aboutspace.today, and like and follow us. Thank you for joining me today, and please share our program with your family and friends. Join me, Rick Potluck from our National Bureau, and guest co-host Don Meyer, a NASA Space Shuttle veteran, along with our broadcast launch team with daily reports beginning Monday, May 25th. I'm David Denault, and this has been About Space Today.